Yeah, welcome. In celebration of the 50th anniversary of Sid Banks' Enlightenment experience, individuals have been impacted by the three principles of understanding are sharing their insights and stories of transformation. Today we have Mark and Stewart
Iskowitz.
Iskowitz. Iskowitz.
Yes, yes.
Welcome, Mark and Stewart Iskowitz. Pleasure to
Thank,
meet you.
thank you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yes.
So we have four questions for you to go through. And could you briefly share what your life looked like before you had your first insight into the three principles? Whoever.
Okay. I'll start it off. I've thought about this question. Obviously, we've had these questions to reflect on for a little bit, and I was just thinking, I always had this feeling of wanting to be of service to people. So that was in me, but personally, I was a bit of a wreck. Uh, Very insecure. Um, a lot of fears, a lot of anxieties, um, just a very insecure person. I mean, I remember in school having crying jags because I couldn't get a project done or I was nervous about it. I mean, so I was pretty much, as I could say, a wreck. But I knew that I wanted to be of service and eventually got into the field of psychology and went on to graduate school. But even there, I realized that something was missing. And my key remembrance of that time was that I remember doing an internship where you had to start seeing clients. And I just remember I was supposed to be able to take notes verbatim on the session, like what I said, they said. I was supposed to remember the theory. Now, this is a Freudian school, so I had to remember some kind of theory related to the client. And then I was supposed to listen and be present. And I was like, you know what? This is for the birds. How am I going to be loving towards this person with a head full of stuff? So it definitely put me on a journey of seeking. So that was me before the principles.
And well, I have a little bit of a different story. But similar in some ways. I also, when I was growing up, wanted to be in the mental health field. I thought I would become a psychiatrist. Uh, and so I wanted to be of service as well. But my life took different turns, and I ended up being involved in a family business, which ended up being my whole pretty much career. And like Mark, I was kind of insecure and it was really tough to come up to expectations, especially in a family business. And family can be very tough, very judgmental, and not always not always saying things that are helpful uh, to help you get through whatever you're dealing with. Um, so Mark had spoken to me about the three principles, I don't know, maybe 25 years ago. And I also listened to a Sid tape one time. It was a cassette tape, so that just tells you how long ago it was. Uh, and I remember hearing his voice and hearing him talk, and I don't know exactly what he said. I couldn't quote you the words, but it was just the feeling that I got. There was something coming through from him that I had never really heard before. And then Mark, over the years, spoke to me about a few things here and there, and I didn't quite grasp it, but I knew I liked it. There was something about it, and fast forward to recently, and you know he was doing his thing, and not exactly getting anywhere. And, my brother and I were always kind of told to be individuals and not, you know, do the same things. And that was always floating around in my head and probably his head. But it just came to a point where I realized, no, we can do something together that might be really unbelievable, really, joyous for both of us. We don't have to go by what parents, friends, have told us. So I told him, let's start doing the curriculum with some of the people that he was working with. And through doing that, and then becoming a part of the Three Principles community, getting on the apprentice program, it really deepened my understanding of it. And, I just feel so free and so joyous so much more often. Now, I'm not going to say that during my lifetime, things didn't hit me that way or I didn't have moments, but it just seems like I go through life more of it in a flowing way instead of just trying so hard. And I love it. And I love the fact that him and I are bringing this to people through the New York Peace Project, which him and I have developed. And anyway, that's how we came to this, and it's definitely impacting our lives. And hopefully, we can, one person at a time, impact others as well.
So I'm curious, what was that insight that was sort of the catalyst that sort of made you turn in a different direction?
Well, what happened for me was that um, I was going through a time of my life where I was actually living with my younger brother. I was like, I had left another project that I was working on, and I was like sort of starting over. And I remember I was researching coaching as a possible profession. And this woman who I never knew just recommended this book by Joe Bailey and Richard Carlson called Slowing Down to the Speed of Life, which was, I thought, wow, what a great title. And I liked the feeling that I got from reading it. I really didn't understand it, to be honest, but there was something about it. And lo and behold, I found out what was behind it was this person named Sid Banks and the Three Principles. And that's what started the journey. And so the insight really was, and again, I really didn't understand it, but the insight was that there was a feeling of freedom that this was pointing to. There was a recognition of the mystical side of life that was just as important, if not more important, than the material world that I was so immersed in. And that was the direction that I wanted to go. And a little bit after that, I realized that I was no longer looking, that I had found what I was looking for when I was a graduate student in psychology. And I really never started looking again after that. It was really just an understanding of looking within to find the answers. And admittedly, that little seed, that little mustard seed of an insight has grown. And I actually think I have a little bit better of an understanding of what Sid was trying to say, and that it really boils down to love and understanding, and that all we do is innocently use this gift of thinking to take ourselves away from it. And that simple thing has just blossomed, and in so many different ways to say the same thing. It's just been beautiful. That's all I can say.
That's great, Mark. What about you, Stuart? What was that catalyst insight, or do you remember?
Well, I do remember Mark pointing out different things along the way, and And something about thinking and the fact that we have a lot of things coming at us from the outside, and we think about a lot of things, and we're very intellectual, and we're constantly having thoughts, but there's something else going on underneath. There's this guidance system that we all have. And along the way, I kind of understood certain things, just maybe little pieces of it. And I noticed that my confidence level in my life and certain things that happened, like I'll give you an example. I had been in one business for many, many years, and then we switched to another business. And like my father would always say, "Oh, I'm a businessman. I don't do things with my hands. I pay people to do that." And so yeah, and he never would do stuff around the house. He would have people come in and take care of it. So it comes to the point now where we're starting this new business. I'm becoming involved in it, and it's ATM machines, right? And so in order to really learn it and understand it, I came to the realization that I was going to have to really get in there and get my hands dirty, quote unquote, and learn how to fix them, learn how to load them with money, learn how to reconcile them. And at one point, I even went through the process of getting a carry license in New York City, which, if anyone knows about that in New York City, it's almost virtually impossible to do. And I did it. And I just learned that just put one foot in front of the other, and you don't have to have that thinking stopping you from moving forward. It's just a matter of relying on that guidance system that's inside, and putting one foot in front of the other. And that's what Mark and I have been doing now for the past 6 months to a year, and it's been unbelievable. And the depths of my understanding is so much more. And it's just so many things that you realize was thinking that came from someone else. It wasn't me. I was taking on someone else's, thoughts and ideas, when I have everything I need already inside. I can take what's good for me and just leave the rest. So that was kind of my journey and deepening of my understanding, and I couldn't be happier to be on the journey that we both on right at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I know you both have sort of described a bit of, the what has changed for you. But maybe if you can encapsulate it just a little bit more deeper about, like, so what really has been the fundamental changes that you've seen since embracing the understanding of the three principles?
So I think for me, the biggest shift, and even more recently, since me and my brother started to work together, is to really trust that underneath all this thinking, there are answers that will come. They're whispered to you very softly sometimes, and they get drowned out. But that guidance is so on the money, and that to really begin to trust it in every aspect of your life, and it's humbling. It's sort of taking down your ego a few notches, and the level of confidence and good feeling. I had a tendency in my life to think that somebody else had the answers. I had this tendency to be a follower. And I just remember Sid always saying, be a listener, never a follower. And that's just so profound, to be listening to other people and to your own wisdom, your own intelligence that's always there, trying to give you a nicer experience of life, regardless of what's going on. And, that has just been such a profound change that every day I wake up and I want to go to work.
Mhm.
I'm like, on the weekends when I don't have work, I'm like, ah, man, I wanted to go to work today, but it's the weekend. So, I'm finding other things to do with my time during the weekend, but I just have,
This is work.
yeah, right. It's like that. It doesn't feel like work at all. So it's just, that has just profoundly changed my life, to think that I could be joyous and happy in the work that I do on a daily basis and really see the beauty in people. Get beyond the surface and see the absolute beauty that's in them, the same that's in me. And that, again, as we were talking before we came on, that's just priceless. And, there's no amount of money that could really reach, what that feels like. So,
Mhm.
For me, I'll just share, like I was talking before about learning the ATM business, and the fear and the stress that I felt when I was going through that, until I got to a point where I had kind of mastered it. Now, doing what we're doing now, it's the first time that I'm actually doing something new and different, and I don't have those fearful thoughts. I don't feel that way. And it's such a gift to be able to just say, it's okay. We don't know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. The past is gone, and we have the present moment. And that's where I find myself living more and more. And, and I tell this to the people we talk to, it's not perfect. We both, Mark and I, still have our days when we get lost. But the beauty of our relationship is that we have each other to kind of, pull us back, or just, sometimes it can just be a look or a word, and he'll apologize to me, and I'll say, I already forgave you, you know, and I also see the relationship between him and I is just on such a different level than it ever was. And it's not just me; it's my wife, my mother, my siblings. It's just everywhere I turn. I don't have to get upset because someone else's reality or way of thinking is not where I'm at. It's okay. It really is. It's beautiful.
Wow. So our last question, how do you see the understanding changing the field of mental health and our understanding of the human spirit?
well, I was just thinking that it's like Sid's discovery was like an atom bomb going off. But in the material world, it's destruction. But in reality, it was an atom bomb going off of love, like this huge light being lit. And, from my experience of just being around Sid, was unbelievable. And how it just radiated out from him. And I really didn't understand a lot of times what he was saying, but I felt it. And only, like I said, now am I really seeing it for myself. And the field, we talk about it right now. We're outnumbered with the outside in way of seeing things, but it doesn't matter. It's our lantern is getting brighter, and eventually it will radiate out. There's no doubt, and we see in the number of people that are attending webinars and books being written, and it's just getting out there, and we get to see the beginnings of what a paradigm shift. The paradigm is shifting. It is definitely changing, and the human spirit will overcome everything. It's just a matter of time. And it's that critical mass. Stewart talks a lot about E equals MC squared and the chain reaction. That's what we're seeing here. We're seeing this critical mass about to come together and really shift the entire world, because we are meant to be loving and together and seeing that we're all one. That is what we're meant to see. We just have been blind to it, but the light has come, and it's rippling out. And so I have such a good feeling about being alive at this time, even though it seems like the world is falling apart and great evil is being done. It's only done in the innocence of being lost from this, and that is so. I'm so sure of that. Like I said, I wake up every day just raring to go and just be with people as we're on this journey.
So for me, very, very similar to Mark, obviously. We have sometimes in our classes that we do, some of the people will ask us, so what do you guys envision for the New York Peace Project? And, that it kind of takes us by surprise sometimes, because we never really think of it as a global thing. We think of it as, one-on-one, with whatever group we're working with or individually. And so when we reflect on it, we realize that, yes, it is one person at a time, but the more that we can pass it on to other people individually, they then in turn can pass it on and help people in their family. And when someone has been going through a tough time and someone in your family sees the major changes that can happen through the insight and through understanding what Sid is talking about, people get curious. They're like, what's going on? And I know in my family, people are like, what's going on with these two guys? We're just so happy all the time. It's like, what Kool-Aid are you guys drinking? But it's not a matter of that. We have the Kool-Aid inside already. We don't have to drink it. It just has to come out. And again, the joy that I feel, the love that I feel that's inside of me, I finally have found an avenue for it to come out and share it with other people. And I don't remember who it was we were talking to. I think it was Jack Pransky. Said that Sid said that, you can't give love away, because the more you give, you get back double. And I really believe that. I think that's true. So that's my take on it.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Mark and Stewart, for your insights and stories. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us, and we are honored to be able to share our little slice of New York with everybody.
And to be part of the 50th anniversary of Sid's enlightenment experience, and that atom bomb that went off 50 years ago. It's just amazing.